So the teams are in for the Essendon versus Gold Coast match. There's a big change for Gold Coast, which may assist Essendon. We're going to get into all the teams and what it all means right now in this video.
Always had the passion and the iron will. No one doubts the courage of the boys from Windy Hill.
So the teams for Essendon Gold Coast are in. So first of all, and this is a big change, Jared Witts is being managed for Gold Coast. That helps us. Jared Witts is, at least in the ranking points, their fourth best player. Ned Moyle comes in, a younger ruckman. That is the only change for the Gold Coast. For Essendon, we have brought in Sam Durham, who comes back from a 2-week suspension. Todd Goldstein and Jordan Ridley comes into the team. Out is Darcy Parish, Vigo Vicentini is omitted, and Matt Guelphy. I just thought from just some of the things Brad Scott was saying, Vigo might remain in the team. And it's interesting if he would have remained in the team had the Essendon coaching staff known that Jared Witts wouldn't be playing. Vigo was well beaten by Luke Jackson in the last match that the Bombers played 2 weeks ago. Luke Jackson played a super game. Vigo still played pretty well himself, but Jackson was best on ground, and maybe they didn't want Vigo sort of being thrown to the wolves. And I guess it does make sense in one sense with Todd Goldstein missing only the one game, but missing 2 weeks, missing the game to Perth, being rested there, and then with the bye, so you have the 2 weeks off, so Goldstein comes back into the team. So that is, an interesting little, addition to the team with Goldstein coming back in. And I think that probably does, it does give us a little bit of, an advantage with one of Gold Coast's best players missing. So what does it all mean? Well, Zach Reid, of course, injured himself at training. We have 4 soft tissue injuries. Darcy Parish, of course, was one of those. Redmond, Langford, the other. Really annoying. I made a video about our injuries, and then about an hour after the video, then Zach Reid goes down with injury. And it looks as though he's going to go in for surgery and miss the rest of the year. So we really need to get someone on top of these soft tissue injuries. We have had more than any other club over the last decade or so. We've started to sort out a lot of the other problems at the club. These things aren't just overnight fixes, of course. So they really have to investigate why this is happening. Is it the surface at the hangar? Is it the training techniques? Are they, managing individual players separately, which they should be, instead of using the same technique for all players? I don't know. There's a lot of different things that they need to go into as to why this is happening. But anyway, it is, and, we need to get on top of it. So the teams from the back line for Essendon, we've got McGrath, Laverty, and Archie Roberts. Laverty obviously retains his spot with Reid out of the team. Across the half back line, we have Jackson Pryor, Ridley, and Angus Clark. The centre line, we have Xavier Dersma, Zach Merritt, and Luamon Luau. Across half forward, we have Will Setterfield, Nate Caddy, and Nick Martin. I know teams don't always line up exactly as they're selected, but I would love it if Nick Martin just stayed there. I did post in a previous video that when Nick Martin plays anywhere other than the back line, we average 5 more goals per 80 minutes, like per full game of football. Now, whether that's just a little bit of a coincidence, there might be some luck in that and coincidence, but obviously, put 2 and 2 together, he's a bit of a unicorn, and, why would you waste him across half back when he can kick goals and seems to kick 1 or 2 whenever he goes forward? Full forward line, Archer May retains his spot in the side after a pretty good game and 2 goals last week, 2 weeks ago against the Fremantle Dockers. Peter Wright at full forward and Isaac Kako. So still no Liam McMahon in the side. Obviously, it's pretty difficult to get into that forward line if you've got Archer May, Peter Wright, Nate Caddy in there. It would be a 4th tall. I would have liked to have seen McMahon in the side perhaps initially a couple of weeks ago, perhaps instead of May. I really like May. I think he's going to be a long-term player for us. But I think McMahon, he leads the goal kicking with 2 different clubs. I think you could probably find a spot for him somewhere in there. The interchange, we have Ben Hobbs, Jade Gresham, Archie Perkins, Zach Johnson, and Lachlan Blackiston. So I don't know about this selection. I would have thought that maybe Hobbs could have been in doubt here. I don't think he's played particularly well over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Blackiston retains his spot in the side, even though he's on the bench. That's probably as well assisted by the fact that both Reid and Mackay are out of the team, and he's been trialled in defence, a little bit over the last couple of games. So, that's interesting. The emergencies are Dylan Shield, Matt Guelphy, and Vigo Vicentini is the third emergency. So they're the teams for the Bombers this week. Just looking at the team on paper, it does look better with Goldstein there. I think it's just looking at seeing that extra experienced player there. I just look across the team and there's just so little experience there. I mean, McGrath's obviously reasonably experienced in the back line and Ridley, but Ridley's coming back from injury. I'm just looking for reasonably experienced players who have been a fixture in the team over the course of this year. And McGrath's one, Merritt, and that's kind of it, right, in terms of players who are reasonably experienced in terms of years that they've served. Everyone else is either young or, in the case of someone like Ridley, who's been around for a while, coming back from injury. So, it's interesting that Dylan Shield is first emergency. I think you can make the case that he comes into the side. I know there'll be a lot of debate about that, and everyone is saying, well, why would you have him in the side when he's not going to be there next year? He's going to get delisted. But, look, he's in the side this year. We've had 11 debutants this year, and we've got a lot of young players in the side now. And we really only have, Goldstein, Merritt, McGrath, and Ridley as, I guess, what you'd call elder statesmen. And you could probably make a case that we need another one. So it does look like a very young team on paper. It's great to see Sam Durham back in the side. We need him back badly, named in the roving position. We've really missed him over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully it's given him a little bit of time to get over his ankle injury. Will Setterfield, named on the half-forward flank, probably won't play there. I reckon Setterfield will have a job on one of the big 3 midfielders. Probably Noah Anderson, I think, would be a good choice for Setterfield. And I like Setterfield in the team. Whilst he's not, an A-grade or even a B-plus type player, what he can do is provide something different. He can provide a tagging role as well as being that player that can still get the 20 possessions a game, and he's a pretty, a bit of a tough player as well. So that is the team for the Bombers. What do you guys think of this team? I thought probably Blackiston, Hobbs, kind of lucky to retain their spot in the team, but I guess with the injuries to Parrish, Parrish would have been selected in this game had he not injured himself at training. Reid would have been right to come into the side. So there's probably a couple of players. Reid would have been right had he obviously not injured himself. So there's probably a couple of players here that may have been a little bit lucky and otherwise wouldn't have got a game. Can we cause an upset? I think Gold Coast, obviously a deserved favourite. It's about a 3 to 4 goal favourite. I do think we're a chance in this match. I do think we're some chance, just not having played for 2 weeks, having some fresh players, some reasonable inclusions, and just the fact that the game is in Melbourne obviously gives you a chance. So, I think Gold Coast should win. I did tip us in a bit of a strategic upset. That's all, but we'll see how that goes. I'm going to leave it there. That is the team. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel if you like this content. And as always, go Bombers!